Near, 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 rip a hole in the sun. Welcome to Cum Paude. Why would you cum soft when you can cum louder? Yeah.
Welcome back, sports fans of fantasy football. We're here for the round two edition of Cum Paude. Here we go. We had round one of the playoffs. We had three upsets, big upsets that we weren't expecting. That's why they're called upsets, because you didn't think they were going to happen. We're going to run through what happened, what went well, what went wrong for some of these teams in the playoffs. And then we're going to talk about the toilet bowl. We're going to talk about the draft order. We're going to talk about round two and the selection. And Scooter, really just team of destiny right now, deciding to demolish everybody and shoot smack all along the way. The smack talk, that is, not the drug smack. So let's get into it. Round one. First upset, we'll start from the bottom, is going to be number two, our returning champion of back-to-back, the Pubic Medusas, goes down against the Doge City. Did have the ability to choose their opponent in this one, probably was the right selection, but sometimes the other team just scores more points than you and you lose. The Doge got some really heavy contributions from the Bengals D, who should have had more, except for we had two players last week that decided to drop the ball before they got to the end zone, or else the Doge would have had probably 8 more points than they did 6 more points for the touchdown, because that's how much a touchdown is worth. Jahmyr Gibbs going off, having a big game after David Montgomery leaves the game, which flip side had an impact on the Medusas with David Montgomery in there going out with the knee injury. And then Jaden Daniels doing what Jaden Daniels has done all year long as a rookie quarterback, putting up solid points, getting points on the ground, looking like a little bit of some Lamar action, a young Lamar over there with Jaden Daniels. And then on the flip side, Medusas did everything that they could with the roster that they had. They got it from Jalen Hurts, as usual, and Mike Evans. Those are the two players that have really been consistent over the last 3 years for this team in scoring points, but really got hit hard by Amari Cooper, even though the Bills put up massive points. Amari, not even a single reception, not a single point, zero spot there. And that's going to be a little bit of a theme here for some of the teams that did lose in the first round of playoffs. And then obviously David Montgomery going out with the injury was a big hit to this team. Just wasn't able to muster it up with the remaining supporting cast. Juwan Johnson couldn't fill in the shoes as needed. Not that Travis Kelce was really doing anything crazy either, but Doge City gets the upset and moves on to the second round. Next in line was our third place team, Come Sail Away, playing against Hammy Hamfist Harry Sharton, and taking the L. This was our closest matchup. It was a nail biter going into Monday night, watching those two games as both teams had players going and ended up being separated by 2 points. So the real difference maker here, Hamfist, with the Allen boys, Josh Allen, just another monster game, back-to-back monster games, carrying your team to win games. 45 points from Josh Allen this week. Keenan Allen adding a late touchdown, getting the lead with Keenan Allen in trash time for the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams just really started looking at Keenan Allen late in the game, getting lots of receptions, and then ending with that touchdown to take the lead. Terry McLaurin getting the points that they needed there as well. And then the Broncos D put up big points, 20 points there. Can't believe we're getting rid of defenses when it's clear that they can help you win playoff games. On the other side, the comes hill. What a tough ending for this team who's really rebuilt fantastically, had great players, made a lot of moves this year, getting rid of some of that draft capital that they had worked so hard to collect, and got the players to do it. Devontae Adams was a big one here, that they made a move and scored incredible amount of points in the last 4 minutes of regulation to get those going up. And then Jamar Chase, not the game that you would expect, but puts up 13, 15 points is what you want from a steady wide receiver. But from a Jamar Chase, you want more than that. And Nico Collins, same thing, coming back, scoring very well in the playoffs. That's what you want to see from your players. Little letdown from Sam Darnold. Is that even a phrase that you can say, let down by Sam Darnold? The dude's having a crazy year. At some point, you're going to see some regression, but 13 points, heck, it's better than 4 points. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but Sam Darnold only getting 13 in that Vikes game. Justin Jefferson did drop a sure touchdown, so there's a little contribution there. And then Brock Bowers, has been crushing it all year long and somehow disappeared at the end of that Raiders game where they just weren't looking for him at all. It was the Jacoby Myers show, Mir Abdullah show, and the ball just was not going to Bowers there in the final minutes where you would expect some trash time, some cleanup time for a tight end to get it. And that was a difference maker. 2 points. It really could have been captured between Bijan Robinson and Brock Bowers, but it did not happen. Lost Nick Chubb to a foot injury. That was another player that splashed out to add to this team to get that additional started running back. Broke his foot. Sad day for Nicky Chubb after working so hard to get back into this season after that gruesome injury last year. But that definitely hurt the points there. I mean, 2 points difference could have done it, but Hammy, he got selected. He Cumsale would have gone up against Dame Judi Dench, which we'll get to, was the team to play against in the playoffs, who really was a bed shitting expert when it came to round one. Cumsale does get eliminated, ends that rebuild, but this is a team we're going to see for several years the way that they have developed their talent, the way that they have gone and got young talent. They're going to be prominent here for 5 years minimum. The next upset that we had was Hawk Tua over Dame Judi Dench. This was the game that was set because other teams had selected Dame Judi, as mentioned. Totally shits the bed Thursday night. Brock Purdy, not even 4 points from the quarterback. Cooper Kupp, 0 points. Way to go, Cooper. And Tyreek Hill, not 5 points. Derrick Henry, 6 points. All the players that were splashed to get for this team decided they didn't want to play in round one. And that is how fantasy football goes. You try your damnedest to build the best team you could. You try to build the juggernaut, and then they just decide not to score. Last week, put up 170 points. This week, hey, put up 90. All things considered, I'll take 90 points, but not enough to fight with Hawk Tua. This was, Dame Judi was done at 1:00. Hawk Tua had a nice set in that 4 p.m. slate. It was looking like they were going to have to claw back, and maybe there is a chance that the teams were going to score. But really, in the second half of those 4:00 games, Amon-Ra goes off. A.J. Brown scores some points. Josh Jacobs comes in during the night game, scores points, and just flat out eliminates it. Ends up winning by 35 points. Tua himself was really struggling in his game. I think 3 turnovers with Tua. So it was looking like there might have been a chance to match quarterback there. But Hawk Tua gets the win. Hawk Tua, as we've talked about year over year, very deep team, struggles sometimes to put the right players in the starting slots because there are so many options. Some injuries forced the hand on this one, and it didn't matter. They got the win. 125 points, we've always said, is a very good score, especially in the playoffs, to try and get that victory. It gives you that shot at victory, and got it done this time. And this is exciting for Hawk Tua because they've been a little snake bit with this powerhouse team that they haven't been able to cobble some of the wins together, some of the big wins. Moving on to the second round of the playoffs, very excited for this team to get there, and think that personally here at the studio feels that this team is that team that can go up against Scooter this year and make for a really awesome championship year. We'll talk about that speculation here in a little bit. But the final game of round one was Scooter. Selected his pony for the first round was Beth's Healthy Twins. Beth's Healthy Twins coming off of a 178 the week before, and Scooter's not scared of that at all and decides, I'm going to dump 171 on you. The Twins could only muster a little over 100 points. Lamar going off, as you would expect. James Cook showing up. James Conner showing up. James Conner has been huge since he signed his extension to his contract. And just across the board, everybody knows that Scooter's team has that. It's really the high floor more than anything else. We talk about players that have high ceilings. We talk about players that have those floors. And across the board, Scooter's team just has high floors. The other teams that lost with Medusas, with Amari Cooper putting up a 0, with DJD, with Hill and Kupp putting up 0s, 5s. That's not the floor that you want in the playoffs. You want the teams that when they're projected to get 10, 12 points, they're getting 10, 12 points, no matter what. You're not going to come under projections. And that's what this team did all across the board. Set up very nicely for round two. And we've just got last night the announcements of who is going to face off in round two, because as per the new rules this year, the top seed does get to select their opponent even in round two as well. And the Scooters has come out and called out Hammy Hamfist. We're going to get a great clash there. There's some really good smack talk going on right now. Maybe some side bets coming in between Lamar and Josh Allen. Can Josh Allen do it 3 weeks in a row? I think Lamar kind of proves that he can do it 18 weeks in a row when it's needed, kind of thing. So we'll see. Josh Allen's going to have a frigid game against New England Patriots. Why am I diving into this analysis yet? Right now, when the next thing that we were supposed to talk about really was the toilet bowl. We had two teams get flushed into the next round. Two teams were just kind of turds collecting in the P trap, waiting for this next round. Got that first round bye with Marty and Dan getting those first round byes. But Marty's going against us huge rivalry game here against Flaming John Aria. So we'll see which team gets flushed, which one needs the plunger. We'll see if Puka Nakua shows up for that plunger sound to move it on through to the next round of the Toilet Bowl. Dan going against Brian. These are some big matchups. We're excited to see it. Just to recap the rules here in the Toilet Bowl, the worst team, the team that loses, flushes on. And I think, we've got a collective conversation going on with the owners here in the league that we need to make this a little bit more interesting somehow with the Toilet Bowl. We don't need to shake things up too much when we're talking about draft order, when we're talking about your picks and how you get those lotteries. We don't need to complicate it, people. It's fine how it is. But we should have some stakes to some sort. I mean, the very easy one is a last place punishment, whether we talk that being the final standings or we talk that being the Toilet Bowl winner is actually going to be that punishment loser kind of thing. We need to do something like that to keep the heat going, whether it's side bets or otherwise. But Toilet Bowl is exciting matchups. Looking forward to that. John's Bussy versus John Aria. Really excited to see who wins, John Aria or a Bussy. So what we have after the first round of the playoffs, we have solidified the first 10 picks in the draft in 2025. So quick rundown of that. Marty, and these are all the team spots. There's been a lot of jostling with trades, so this isn't necessarily who's picking in that spot, but what their picks value or picks spot would be if you own one of these teams' spots. But Marty at the 101, Dan at the 102. We knew these already. Brian at the 103. Cap at the 104. John at the 105. Drew at the 106. And now after the first round of playoffs, Pat solidifies the 107. Dame Judy at the 108. Nikki, come sail away at the 109. And El Jefe, the pubic Medusa, at the 110 slot. So those are all set in stone now after the first round of playoffs, after we get through round two. Really, it's 2 more weeks before we decide what that 111 through 114 are going to look like, because that will be determined by your champion and your third place winner to see how that shakes out. So excited to see how that goes, to see how those final little spots shake out. But it is, it's fun to see if you did make trades throughout the year for first round picks, how that value has shifted a little bit. If you happen to capitalize on teams really going for the ship and trading for it, understanding that maybe thinking that their pick could be a 114 because they might win the championship, but end up being a 108. Good for you. You did a great job there making that happen. This is fantasy football. This is Dynasty League. Anything goes. Let's talk about round 2 of the playoffs. So we mentioned the top seed, Bermuda Talangles, Scooter Topg's team. Top seed gets to select their opponent in this one. They get a selection between Hammy Hamfist, Doge City, and Hawk Tua. Really great analysis, as usual, of who they want to play, when they want to play, and why they want to play them, and cutting them off of there. And they select the Hamfists. They're going right at it. They're seeing Josh Allen, what he's doing. They're saying, I'm going to knock this guy out now while I have the chance. And saying that Josh Allen's not going to repeat that again and just going to just cut it off, knock it dead. And I think what you look at with these two teams right now, Scooter is favored by 17 points with current rosters. Could be some shakeup. We got Thursday night games tonight, but then we got some potential injuries. Tyrone Tracy's a little touch and go. You've watched his carries, his per snap count go down week over week over week. Devin Singletary obviously got a touchdown out of it last week. And Pacheco, we'll see how that goes with Mahomes We'll see if he starts, if that could impact Travis Kelce, if that could impact Pacheco. So probably a lot of this going into consideration as Scooter makes that selection. But really, when you're looking at these two teams, it kind of goes back to that conversation around your players' abilities, whether they have a high floor, median, whether they have high ceilings. And I think really that's the difference maker here. Scooter has that high floor for every player on his team. Hammy has high ceilings. I don't want to say that Hammy's team has high floors because there is some possibility for inconsistency with Travis Kelce. Terry McLaurin's been pretty consistent here recently, but that's boom and bust with the Commanders. Keenan Allen is incredibly reliant on Caleb Williams. DeAndre Swift as well, reliant on the Bears play in general. But you've got Josh Allen. You've got that high ceiling with Josh Allen. McLaurin can have that high ceiling, but you just don't have the floor. And I think that's where you go with the talent goals. You got that steady floor with the high ceiling as well. Guys like Barkley, Connor showing that he can show up. James Cook can go off. But those guys are always going to be steady as it goes. Justin Jefferson, high ceiling, high floor kind of thing. So we're locking up Scooter Top G, moving on to the championship round. Ka-chiga, Lightning McQueen, covering the 17 points, winning outright. They're going to win by 30. Way to go, Scooter Top G. Let's see, make it happen. The next game that we've got, Doge City versus the Hawk Tua. This is a 7 seed versus 6 seed. We'd love to see it. It's March Madness doing its best thing. Doge City is a dog yet again. Doge City loves being the dog. They love it. They're going to make it happen. They got +3 right now. Not a big dog, but that's a dog. So we got the Cinderella story versus the Depth Master. We've got opportunity here potentially for Doge City. Depending on Alvin Kamara news, Kender Miller could slip in there as a lead back, and that might be a big decision here for the Doge. They've been trotting out Ramondre Stevenson, who's been serviceable and scores here and there, but nothing. Again, we're talking about like floors and ceilings. He's not a ceiling kind of guy. He does not really have a high ceiling, unfortunately, just because New England's offense hasn't been able to do it. So maybe Kinder slides in there, showing good promise here as he filled in for Kamara last week. But really, I think it goes down to what we talked about all year long, as we continue to glaze Tommy Barnes. Is depth is the answer, and this is another team that has that high floor, high ceiling. This is really going to be, I think, a great matchup that we see potentially in the championship between Scooter and Hawk Tua. Is two teams that are just monstrous kind of lineups. You don't want to see them. You don't want to face them. Yes, Hawk Tua has shown that when all the pieces don't click, they're beatable. They were the 6th team in the league this year, 8 wins. They are beatable, but the potential with this team is scary. It really is. And I think, for production value, that's what we're going to predict here. I think Doge City Cinderella run is unfortunately going to run out here. It was great while it lasted. It was fun to watch him take down the former champ and make room for a new champion here in the league. But Hawk 2 is going to get that victory. They're going to cover the 3 points. I think they're going to put up about 145 this week. And we're going to get a fantastic championship game between Scooter Top G and Hawk Tua. Two very well-built teams, two very deep teams, two teams with high ceilings and high floors. I'm excited for it. For anybody that is interested and local, if you're not local, make sure you're local. We're looking on hanging out Sunday, the 29th. That is the day of the championship games. We're going to try and get to Lee's in Baltimore for a 1 p.m. games watch fest, drink some beers, eat some foods, and kind of watch the championship together as a league if we can. So if you can make it, try to make it. That might be followed up with a little bit of Nintendo 64 gameplay. We've got Golden Eye, and we've also got Pink Eye and Brown Eye as well. That should be happening too. So let's hope anybody that is interested and able can make it to that. And let's look forward to a good round 2. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not start talking about the championship too soon, because you do have to win your round 2 matchups. Good luck to the Talon Goals, to the Hand Fists, to the Doge Cities, and to Hawk Tua. All righty. Another Paude in the books. You're welcome, as Maui says. Well, good night, Fermi. Good night, Fermi.
Thank you for listening to the official podcast of the Public Honors College Fantasy Football League. Cum quickly, cum often. and cum loud.